Just pulled into Stone Canyon today. We are meeting up with Rob Walker with Epic Custom Homes again to show you a different side of the new construction process. Now, I've done a few videos on kind of just the overall product, but we're gonna walk a job site today and look at the bones of the house before all the pretty stuff gets put on, because I think that's really where you see the difference between all the other builders in town is what is actually under all the glitz and glamour that you see when the house is done. So we're headed over to meet up with Rob, so stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Here with Ben himself. You've seen him in other videos, Rob Walker. So I told them we're going to look at the stuff before the pretty. And so
before the pretty is always the stuff no one cares about, but really should.
They should.
They should, absolutely.
I mean, some of the stuff you've told me literally is not even that expensive, but the money that they save on the back end is astronomical.
There's a reason why all these restoration companies, slab companies exist. It's because eventually they're going to get some work.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to give them a little bit less work by some of the things that we've chosen to do in our projects that are just making them just a little bit better.
Yeah, awesome. Well, so we're on a slab right now, so this one's been poured, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
So this is one of your job sites. What makes your guys' stuff special?
So we're here in the beautiful neighborhood of Stone Canyon, so there's their shout out. We'll give Stone Canyon their shout out. What you're looking at is a single pour monolithic post-tension slab. Traditional two-step pour, you know, they're trenching the forms, they're putting in the concrete, and the base is just rebar sticking out of the ground. They bend the rebar down and they pour concrete on that. This, we're still trenching the footing, but everything is laid in that you're going to need, from your cables to the plumbing, everything you can possibly, and then we're going to do a single pour foundation. So the concrete's being poured just one time. It all cures together. It's all part of the same slab, so there is no movement. Right. And if there is, it's very difficult to move a larger portion of concrete like this. Yeah. In addition to that, it's what we're putting it on. So engineered fill dirt. Doesn't have to do it in residential. We chose to do it in residential. So the dirt that this is sitting on has been compacted and been tested by an engineer to say, yes, this is a good dirt to put foundation on.
So you guys do like the soil testing and all that before you start?
Compaction testings.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Now you mentioned like the monolithic pour, so that's what you're talking about. It's all poured at one time.
Monolithic, one time.
Very cool. And obviously I'm sure you guys do like the post tension.
Dictating, oh yeah, definitely. Okay. This is a post tension. All the cables are laid inside there. You can kind of see some of the cables sticking out on the side here. I don't know how well this is going to come out on film.
We'll get a close up in a second, but yeah. Oh yeah, sure enough.
Yeah. Yeah, so
now I've probably done videos on this, but let's explain to those who maybe don't know, why is post tension so much better? Well, the old way.
It's simply basically the cables that are being laid in there serve as connection points for the concrete to adhere to and attach to. Right. This ultimately is a better foundation you got to have that as a minimum. Yeah, that's a minimum thing to have in your foundation.
In my understanding, with post tension, they kind of tighten them as it cures.
No, they'll actually come and pull tight.
They do. Now. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So we haven't even pulled these tight yet. So we got some pulling to do. Very cool. So let's talk about some other things. So obviously you guys put in all of your piping when it's poured. All that's pre-laid. Anything that the plans dictate that I need piping or plumbing, especially like in this middle category, what you see over here, that's going to be part of the island. So it's obviously that water needs to be ran to the island. You can also see where the vanities are all going to be setting up. Right. Even the drop shower for the master shower. Sure. So when we drop it like this, it allows us to do a 0 entry shower. Okay. So now the tile guys will come in and actually hand do all the tile, the concrete needed, and we'll float it down to a 0 entry shower. Very nice. So just to give people a time frame, obviously weather takes a lot of it, the complicatedness of the plans. But as a general rule, if someone's building a house, once we're at this stage, how long does it take? Once we're at this stage, we're golden a little bit. Okay. The weather, by the way, has been just disastrous with all the rain. It's pouring rain every day. Yes, pouring rain every day. But honestly, once we're here, the snap out and the lumber, you can see the lumber has already been dropped. So they'll start, and man, you and I come back in 1 month, it's going to look like that. It's going to look like the one next door. It's going to look like that house. It's going to look like a house. Awesome. But honestly, you're still probably a good eight months away for a house this size. This is a 5,000 square foot house. So once the prep work is done for the land, the dirt is brought in, the foundation is laid, lumber's dropped, it goes really quick. Yeah. It goes really quick. Well, if you're ready, we can head over to the other one. We'll talk about insulation and all that kind of stuff. We're at second job site just next door to see another phase of construction. So one of the main things I think is breathtaking is this Pella window right here. It's gorgeous, right? I mean, we're both about 6 foot. So I mean, this is a massive window. That's a lot of window. And you won't always get that in a residential application. You've got to have the right window company making the right window to be able to do something like this. Right. We have chosen to put our saddle on the Pella back. We use Pella windows in a lot of our houses and stuff. Right. Great product and stuff. They have one called Impervia. Impervia allows us to do some things out of the box that you normally don't get to see, which is 12-foot windows. Right. So we're, I don't know, what are we, 6 across? We're about 6 across. And about 12 foot high for that window. Yeah. That's really awesome. I love it. It doesn't have any... no grids. No grids. Yeah. Nice and open. I call it picture window, you know, because you have a great view back here. We're standing in the future pool area. So we could be, next year, this will be a lot nicer and be a little wetter and stuff. Yeah. A great area. So obviously the zip system, that's part of the whole package here. So love the zip system. Zip system is the way we moisture bury our house. There's a couple of ways to do it. This is standing in the shade. This is a little nicer way to do it. In the zips, in the world of zip versus Tyvek, takes the kind of the man factor out. When a house is done in Tyvek, you're responsible for a labor to actually make sure that Tyvek is on correctly. This comes pre-laminated. These boards are obviously pre-laminated. So as long as my guys know how to put up tape, then we're pretty good. Right. And the moisture barrier is a must. Definitely want to make your house nicer. It's a great way to do it. Awesome. Yeah, zip's awesome. So inside here, obviously, looking at the walls before the pretty, prime example. So you've got some spray foam insulation in here. Let's talk about that. So we're set in a game room. And of course, you're looking at full foam encapsulated house. So the spray foam is running throughout the walls to the foundation and all the way up and all the way through the rafters. Probably really hard to see on camera, but the spray foam, as far as you and I can see up through the spray foam. If you watched the other video, we talked about it a little bit. So why are we doing this encapsulation of the house? Energy efficientness. This house will score probably in the low 50s on a Hertz scale, maybe in the high 40s on the Hertz scale, which is just going to make the comfortability and the livability of this house off the charts. It's going to make its energy efficiency. Well, and the Hertz really rating, for those that know, it's like an energy efficiency score. Yes, energy efficiency score. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you called out why we changed, and really what we did back here, we knowing that it's a game room, we wanted to create a place that we could put in for sound battening. That's all that's there for. Right. We know a TV's going on this wall. We can see the TVs here. We just wanted to lay some batting into the studs just for sound purposes right there. Yeah. Yeah, because it's living space on the other side. Living space on, you're right. Yeah. Very cool. When you guys do fun things, like just as an example, you know, you're a custom home builder. They wanted a bar, you said. Yeah. So
just things like that. You guys can do it all.
Do it all. And some of these things are being done on a plan set, and some of these things are live. Like, hey, I really love this space, but I want an arch in there. So we're going to go in and create, because we could have squared it off. You can arch it. You can do all kinds of things for it and stuff. So for us, it's just making sure that we now have the electrical ran that we're going to need for the service that area. All the extra lighting. This is going to be for low voltage lighting that you see. So there's going to be some fun lighting that's all going to showcase down on that bar area.
That's awesome. Well, let's head over to this vaulted ceiling in here, the hub of the house. I always think it's challenging for people to visualize a home.
Scope and scale is really hard to imagine just how big this is. But let's put it in perspective. We know these massive windows are behind us.
Yep, that's where we were outside.
And now look at this door. So as we move to your typical door versus this door. We are 12-foot high, arch top.
I love the arch on the top. That's great.
A center pivot type door scenario. Wow. This is why you hire a company.
It's like the statement piece.
It is a statement piece. That. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That is absolutely true. I would definitely make all my neighbors park in the driveway and make them come through. I want them to come through that door because there's just such a lot going on here that I want them to see.
Well, and just for scale, if someone's pricing things out, how much is just the door alone?
You're in about $12,000 range just for a door like that. So to give you an idea, a typical door that you see in a house, $1,500.
Yeah.
Single door opens up, you walk through it, close it. By the way, you open this, walk through it and close it too.
Yeah.
Get in and out of the house same way. Difference is I'm getting in with style. I'm getting in there.
Well, and that's the thing with a custom home too. It's all those little things that sometimes people think when they're doing the cost, and this is important. We've talked about this. Rob is great at really making sure you have everything in there. So when you guys quote the price, they're not blindsided by stuff later.
Absolutely. We're trying to do a lot more upfront with the plans, with the customer. So we are more dedicated to finding out what's going to be the problem areas, and let's talk about it. Because we're never here to say no. Don't do something. I'm just here to say, okay, you could have done this for $3,000. You can do this for $7,000, or you can do this for $12,000. That type of situation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Rob, what are some things? Obviously, communication is a big thing, especially when you're buying a house.
In all relationships, definitely.
In every relationship.
In everything.
But especially with your builder, because it's a long process.
It is a long process.
And I think a lot of times, sometimes if expectations aren't set and communicated, then people get blindsided and they feel bad. And I will tell people, and Rob can attest to this in a few minutes, but you need to be transparent and open with all of your thoughts, because maybe you think it's going to be done a certain way, but then when it actually comes to how it gets done in the house, it may not be what you're thinking. So you got to be open with that stuff.
And your wants that you're talking about, those things that you may feel like you want, but you never communicate, are not necessarily easy to retrofit act.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the pot filler situation.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Here's a situation where I'm not planning for a pot filler. There's absolutely no water anywhere actually near this area of the house. But if the customer came to me all of a sudden, they said, "Hey, Rob, let's throw a pot filler in here," that would have been information.
That would have been nice to know
early. And because yes, it can be done. It's just going to be done. It's going to cost a lot more at this point to trench it in, cut it through the concrete, or run it through the walls than what it would have been if they would have just said, "Hey, I think we're thinking we may want a pot filler."
Right.
Then I could have pre-planned for that, and it'd have been a much simpler situation.
Yeah. Very true. Well, when you're building a house too, there's always likes and dislikes. And I think, do you guys go to like the showrooms and things when they pick out their stuff?
Absolutely. Okay. Being there with the client is critical in the sense that not all clients are join against, and they don't necessarily know what they want.
Right.
And so to have people that every day, all day, that's their job, is to help you coordinate your colors, to help you coordinate your tiles, your carpets.
Right.
That all is huge in a person's house. And, we're there to make sure that you don't build an ugly house.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, we're never going to sell it. It's our forever home." I've heard that a million times.
Right.
And then they sell it for whatever family reason happens. And yeah, you do want to have something that is easily sellable.
That's right.
But yet still your own. I mean, it is a custom house. But things that I think people miss, is really just the cost of things.
Sure.
And I think that's why I like you guys so much, is you're so transparent about that. If you want, like we mentioned earlier, the door,
Yeah.
what kind of door you want, and this is the price points of those doors, and you let them make that decision.
It's a twofold situation. First of all, this is all we do every day, all day. This is all I'm doing is walking houses with clients and then having the logical conversation of what's it going to cost to really bring this to life. Right. And so there's no benefit in me to walk you down a path that it's going to be a bad relationship. Right. Lack of communication.
The goal is they're going to love it and send more people.
Absolutely,
to you.
Gonna love it more. So I want to be as upfront and honest. What I believe this is ultimately going to get you for what you're asking for me to do, and we've been very successful. We're very fortunate. We have a huge budget. It's about 118 lines of conversation. And when I ask you 118 lines about, do I put a pot filler here or do I do this? This is going to open up, sometimes maybe make your budget seem high, but in the end, it's going to feel much lower because we're not going to have these misses and we're not going to have to redo a lot.
Right. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it would be like, estimate high, and then if they want to deduct, that's fine. That's right. But it's hard to add after you've already started.
It's definitely hard to go back and refit something after we started. You're definitely going to spend more now to do that stuff. Right. It would have been better for them to say, "Oh, I don't want to do it now," and to pay that plumber whopping $70 to make sure there's water here, versus having to retroactive back in there at a later date. Yeah.
So Rob, let's say I'm building a house with you guys, and I'm a frugal person. You know, I want to go on Amazon. I really like these cabinet hardware. I like light fixtures, whatever. Can I do that and just drop them off for you guys? Absolutely.
Yeah, hardware is a great one, for instance, because obviously there's local hardware people here in town, but go on Amazon, there's a lot of hardware. Right. So if you're that person that wants to go in there and find that hardware, we just ask then you bring it to the job site when it's needed, not at this stage where it gets lost. So we'll call you and say, I need to bring it out.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, what about other things? Like I had a client ask me one time, they were building a house. They wanted to run a cable for a security camera before the sheetrock went on. Was that something they could do?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Okay. A lot of people have their AV, like, I know a lot about AV, so I want to run my own cables, or hey, I'm going to do a sprinkler system, or not sprinkler system, a speaker system. Yeah. Then absolutely, they're more than willing to come out. We've done houses where people are like, well, my uncle owns a roofing company. Well, great. Then your uncle can put the roof on and we'll just chalk that off my line and put it on your line and stuff. And that does save clients in that aspect.
Well, it's good that you're really flexible like that. Because I know, and this is props to Epic, because not every builder in town will let you do that. It's my people or nobody. So I think that's really cool.
And we always, we're trying to get the best product for the person. And if the person has confidence in their family putting on their own roof, then I don't want to step in the way. I just get it. I'll do whatever they need, and we'll get it to that point, and then they can take over, and then we'll pick it up after they're done.
Awesome. Yeah. So you build a lot of houses. How long has Epic been building houses?
We are just pushing into our 18th year of building houses.
Okay.
You're in the neighborhood of Stone Canyon, which was started about 15 years ago. We were permit number 1. Okay. So we started building houses in here 15 years ago. So when you drive through this beautiful neighborhood, this I call the resume, 130, 140 of this house is us.
Well, and you mentioned you built so many of the houses in here. People can go by, like, well, your floor plan's kind of like this one as far as the textures, the elevation, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really big plus.
Well, I'll tell you how this floor plan started as a Google, like an image. It was a picture, like, can you build that? We're like, yeah, we can build that.
Sure.
And that's how it started. And then it was brought in-house, and then we brought it design and brought the floor plan to lay out the way it needed to lay out.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Well, now, obviously, we're in Stone Canyon, but like, where else do you guys build? Like within an hour of Tulsa?
All throughout Tulsa. So we're down in Broken Arrow, Jinx, Bixby, all the way out to Skytook Lake, Collinsville, Claremore. So pretty much, that Tulsa metro area.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'm going to set this up. So we're going to come back and check on this house in a few months when you guys get a little bit farther. So you guys can kind of see it all come together. So we had the foundation next door, learning about all that stuff. You saw the framing and the zip system, pellet windows, all that. We can see it when we get to the next step. So I'll reschedule that with Rob and get back out here. So stay tuned for that.
Enjoy seeing everybody. Can't wait. See you in a few months.
And if you have questions, though, obviously comment them below. I can get with Rob. We can always make another video. But if you are thinking of building a custom home, I would highly, highly recommend Epic Custom Homes.
We appreciate it.
I've seen a lot of houses.
Yeah.
Not all builders are creative.
And this is all we do. I think that's unique, too. As a custom builder, I'll do like one spec just to kind of show it off in the parade of home. Other than that, every house that you and I see, customers attached. Somebody is there saying, do that.
Well, and that's how you know you're getting a unique product that is unique to you that no one else has anywhere else.
That's right.
So I think that's pretty cool. But we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and bye for now.